Hi, welcome to HBCU Biz on Fire. That's right, HBCU Biz on Fire, where we have conversations. And I do mean conversations because we don't just interview them. We like to get down into the nitty gritty and have a conversation with entrepreneurs, pathfinders, and innovators. And today we have a lady that, we always like to see if they check all the boxes. So we'll qualify that at the end of the interview / conversation. But I already know because, when you read about it, you're like, okay, I got to talk to this lady. Hey, so I would like for you to welcome Bridgett McGowen-Hawkins to HBCU-Biz on Fire. How are you doing today, Bridgett?
I'm doing really, really well, Howard. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, she's, if you're watching the video version of the podcast on YouTube, guess what? She has that purple on, so she's a PV grad. PV.
There was no question, Howard, as to what color I would wear. There are 4 colors that look fantastic on camera, and okay. Purple is one of them. So when I was getting ready for this today, I said, duh.
Hey, this is about HBCU, and of course, I have to rep my alma mater as much as possible. So as we get into it, hey, let's jump right there, Bridgett. Let's jump to that first time you went to the Hill as a student. What were your thoughts? I call it the drop off. Your parents done drop you off, they done told you rude, your dad or somebody said, okay, be wary of all those boys. And, but now I'm a student. What were your thoughts?
I will tell you right now, I was scared as all get out. You see, Howard, I come from a small town, and it was relatively easy to stand out, be a rock star. And I had done relatively well in school all throughout my formative years. And all I could think was, I am on the campus of a university. And all of these people are probably a whole lot smarter than I am. I was frightened, okay? And the girls were just gorgeous, and the guys seemed to have their act together. And here I was, my little raggedy suitcases from this little small Southeast Texas town. Let me tell you.
All right, which town? Hello, which town? Now we got because somebody out there may be from that town.
Oh, okay. I am originally from Beaumont. That's not where I grew up, okay? I am originally from Beaumont, but I grew up in Livingston, Texas. And at the time, the population was 5,019. So I'm thinking this campus and the surrounding area, okay, or maybe just a few spots right outside the campus make up my entire little town that I came from. I was scared. I was worried about just doing well, succeeding, and figuring out this life, navigating this life. I'm away from home for the first time. Yeah, sure. There was church camp in the summertime where you're gone for 5 days, or a band trip where you're gone overnight, 1 or 2 nights or something like that. But I'm here by myself, miles away from home. What do I do? I was scared.
I get to choose, but I got to do my own laundry. So what's next? But so, as this little girl, fearful, gosh, how do I compete?
Yeah.
How did Prairie View put their arms around you and say, yes, you can? Because that's the thing I love about my HBCU. I didn't go to Prairie View, so I don't know if they do the same, but I think they do because my son's there. So otherwise I wouldn't encourage them to go.
I'm just going to put it out there. That says something. You sent your son to Prairie View as opposed to.
Okay, hold on. Okay, we're going to be transparent here. No, I had to really, and I can say this now because he's there. I don't want him at home. It was like LSU or Southern. We're in Baton Rouge for those that are listening in, and so my wife was like, "Well, he can go here," but I said, "No, I want him to go to an HBCU." And this was the beginning of the Trump administration, and I just knew as a Black male, he couldn't be his full self, whatever that was, because as I told him I said, if you debate a white professor on a white campus, it could easily become racial. And you will never know it until after you get your grade. And you won't like the way that grade look. I said, now at Prairie View, it won't be racial. There may be some other things and reasons the professor look at you side eye, but you can have an open conversation around the idea. that you want to debate. And that was one of the reasons I really want him to, but then the other one to get away from home. And so it hit me, Bridget, and you appreciate this story. I talked to him on a Friday afternoon and he said he was doing his laundry. I said, yes, because otherwise he'd have been dropping it off here for my wife to do it.
Well, see, he does not realize how fortunate he is. Speaking of laundry, when I was there, and if there are PV alums listening in, you know exactly where I'm going with this laundry. There was something about those dryers, Howard. They had them turned all the way up, and they burnt any of your delicate clothes.
Well, no.
They were not recognizable. I don't know what it was, and we had to schlep across campus with, imagine the big laundry bag as well as your detergent, your bleach and everything, schlep across campus. If you were lucky to know someone,
you couldn't walk on the grass. That's one thing I love about PV. You can't walk on the grass. No shortcutting.
Better not even fix your feet to point towards the grass. I mean, so yes, your son is very fortunate that he is doing laundry in the 21st century at Prairie View A&M. But to answer your question in terms of getting past the fear and what was the support system like at Prairie View A&M? We hear it all the time that the campus is filled with quote unquote uncles and aunts, and you roll your eyes hearing it. But when you posed that question to me, that was the first thing that came to mind. This is my first time ever saying that the campus was filled with these pseudo uncles and aunts, these quote unquote makeshift uncles and aunts. Now that I sit here and think about it, or cousins, whatever you want to call them, because everybody,
church moms, aunts, uncles,
whatever you want to call them. Right. They were rooting for you. Now they have a different way of rooting for you. You know how you have those family members where it's the way they say stuff, right? And they're really trying to be encouraging, but it come out sounding a little interesting, right? So we had that at Prairie View. And so it may not have come out sounding the best, but they always had your best interest at heart. Every single person on that campus, or at least the majority of them, truly believed in you. And if they saw something in you, I mean, just the fact that you had enough courage to set foot on the campus, they said, you know what, hey, you had the courage to set foot on this campus. We're going to have the courage and the fortitude and the encouragement to get your feet across that stage 4 to 6 years from now. So it was just everybody, whether it was professors, whether it was the financial aid office, whether it was the registrar's office, the oh my goodness, the Omelet Lady in Alumni Hall. Alumni Hall is not at PV anymore. Okay. But if you went to PV in the 90s, you knew about Alumni Hall and you knew about the Omelet Lady. Even if it was the Omelet Lady making your breakfast, you had this feeling about you where it's like, you know what? I got my breakfast. I can take on the day. Everybody believed in you at Prairie View A&M.
And I have to believe that the Omelet Lady, don't know her, but I had my own Omelet Lady at Southern. I was Miss Pointer. And every now and then she would just say something and it seemed to be at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, about you having a good day, or hey, good luck on that test today. Or
I regret that we never got that lady's name. I'm going to get in touch with some girlfriends who are alums and ask, what was the Omelet Lady's name? As a matter of fact, my sister-in-law was my college roommate at Prairie View. I'm going to text her. Yes, we ended up marrying brothers, Howard. We married brothers. And my husband went to our rival school, Texas Southern University. So
y'all have some real interesting conversations throughout the year.
Labor Day Classic, when we lived in Texas, we always had to buy tickets where we sat in the end zone. We couldn't sit on PD side. We couldn't sit on Texas Southern side. So we always had to buy tickets where we were sitting over in one of the end zones on that side of the game. But I hate I didn't get that lady's name. I'll have to ask around what her name was, because everybody just believed in uplifting you. Everybody knew you could do it. When you felt like you couldn't do it, or you could find at least 5-10 other people on campus who believed you could.
No, and that is a consistent piece. And, and fortunately our HBCUs haven't lost that. That piece of it from that standpoint. But if you would just go a little deeper and talk about one of those professors that was really one of those uncles or aunts. You were in communication, so opportunities come different in communications than it does in what I call a more, I won't call it definite, but in engineering, these are facts. In communications, there's a lot more subjectivity than in the sciences or in business. And so talk about one of those professors that really helped mold Bridgett to be this author, this great speaker, this published individual.
There were two, but I will be respectful of time and keep it.
Well, you got to give respect to both and then share a story about one of them.
I have to. It was an uncle and an aunt, if you will. So one of them was the late Dr. Maurice Thompson. And he actually treated me like I was his daughter. I think he even may have said that. He was even the photographer at my wedding when my husband and I got married.
Wow.
Yes, yes, back in 2006. When we were planning it, I told my husband, I already know who my photographer is going to be. It's going to be Dr. Hope Thompson. I mean, hands down, period. You might have somebody. And actually, my husband does have an uncle who's a photographer. Sorry, tell Uncle Johnny sorry. We'll have to
he can come and take pictures, but he's not going to be the photographer.
Right. He can snap pictures, but he's not the official photographer. So Dr. Maurice Thompson, total rock star. And he just took me under his wing. He believed in me. He got me working on the newspaper. He encouraged me to also work at the radio station. So I was multifaceted. So I knew more than just how to speak, but I also was in the editing world. I remember I was a section editor for the Panther, the campus newspaper. And we both lit up when we saw each other walking into the classroom. And he didn't have to say it, but it was just being around him. I knew my best was expected. He didn't have to say a thing, but I knew I'd better come and come correct. And then the other professor was OMG, Diana Phalus. She was the first African-American anchor on a major network in Houston. And I remember sitting, Howard, watching her on the Channel 13 news as a little girl and just being enraptured, just taken by her. She was so poised, so put together. Mm-hmm. I mean, just unflappable, unshakable, sitting there at that desk, 6 p.m. And I just thought, if I could be a fraction of what she is when I grow up, I would be unstoppable. And then I arrive at Prairie View and I'm looking through the
catalog. You flipping the catalog or?
No, is it the same person? Can't be. Really? And this was before the internet was super popular and so on and so forth. So I was just, and I'm not a starstruck type of person, but I'm just starstruck sitting in her class. And I didn't realize it, but I would subconsciously try to emulate her to the point one of my girlfriends, who's a sorority sister and as well as was one of my bridesmaids, she would call me Baby Phalus. And she was trying to poke fun at me because I didn't carry a backpack. I carried, it wasn't quite an attaché case, but it was this Avenue bag similar to the kind that Miss Phalus carried. And then I started getting into this habit of wearing black quite a bit, and come to find out she wore black quite a bit. And so those were my,
that talks about, as someone is listening at this and they don't realize the impact they're having on someone in their daily walk. And just because you may not be on TV and but just your daily walk, people see you and they see things happening for you because you chose to make them happen the way they do, and they're emulating you. And so you're mentoring and not even knowing it. And that's how, Miss Phalus was. She was mentoring millions, but you were fortunate enough to actually sit at her feet. So let's go deep with that. Because I can think of several at Southern the same way. Share one story of interaction with Miss Phalus. You talked about the admiration, but now I want to hear, one of these things where she was like, okay, Bridgett, now in order for this to happen, this has to happen, and just took it to a different level.
Right. Goodness. oh, do I want to tell one about Miss Phalus or one with Dr. Hope Thompson?
It could be
Let
Dr.
me
Hope, but
think.
it just, you know,
It,
those are
it,
just two.
so I'm trying to remember. Oh my goodness. We were in a television studio one time, and I remember just putting so much care and putting so much attention on making sure my appearance was just right and my hair was perfect and everything. And I remember classmates again poking fun of me in a sweet way, but still just,
Right.
you know how we razz each other, you
Take the
know how
body
we
blows.
do
You got
each
to
other,
jab a little
whatever.
bit.
And right, just the back and forth. And I remember Miss Phalus just kind of coming over. What's going on over here? What's with all this noise? Let's get it together, people. You know, Bridgett, you gonna get on the camera or you're not? You know, time is money. But you know, nobody waits for anybody. You know, she was just it was just a real intense moment where she was saying, you know, if you were at a real studio and we're getting ready to audition, I mean, y'all are over here sniggling and giggling and going on. I mean, let's do this. Let's pretend this is a real audition. So I just remember trying to balance those emotions and then getting snapped back to reality. Like, I'm trying to get past the classmates giving me this hard time, you know, showing up like I'm really about to get a real job. I mean, I had my little navy blue suit on, I had my hair perfectly coiffed. And then Miss Phalus just like bringing me back saying, you know, no, get to it. I mean, you know, cut out all the giggling, get it, supposed to be preparing yourself for the world of work. And I just remember being in that studio and thinking, okay, yes, that's right. Get to it. Stop all the giggling and sniggling. I'm sure she didn't say that, but.
What she was doing really was telling you is that you're always preparing for your dream.
Yes. Always be ready so you don't have to get ready. And
Exactly.
I remember her telling us, you know, you could have a situation where you show up to a studio and you just get a script and you get 5 minutes and you've got to do a cold read, and they may make a determination right then and there as to whether they want to bring you on for a project or what have you. Always stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Don't wait for somebody to tell you, hey, try this, prepare this way, do this, warm up this. Just be ready. Get past the noise. So my classmates were noise.
Yes.
And she just was like, you know, come on, are we doing this or are we not doing this? Let's get this together. Let's get the show on the road, folks. Oh, Howard, a small factoid. She and I share the same birthday.
Okay, you are a little Dr. Phalus. Okay.
Isn't that wild? Yes. Yes.
Hey, how and when did you guys find that out?
It was definitely well beyond graduating. I don't know how I stumbled upon that little fact, but yes, it was definitely many years after graduating.
You ever able to share it with her?
No, I've never shared that with her. But when I found
still,
out.
So Dr. Phalus, is she still living?
Yes.
You got to share that with her. You just got.
Okay, I will. I'll do that. Challenge accepted.
You know, and she'll be one of those type. You know, Dr. Phalus, I was on an interview today, and I brought up the fact that we had shared the same birthday. I've never shared that with you, so calling to check in on you and say happy birthday.
I'm going to have to do that.
Because you know how those professors are about us as we share with them from that standpoint. Tell you what, we're going to take a short break here, if you don't mind, just because people podcast cost, okay? And so we got some people that are paying the bills, as they would say in traditional radio. And we're going to be right back so we can really get into some more great conversations. I mean, I found some great stuff here. As I was talking with Bridgett, I got nuggets on the floor, so I got to be careful where I step at during this break. Nuggets are all over the floor. But we'll be right back for HBCU-Biz on Fire. Hey, welcome back to HBCU-Biz on Fire. I'm here with Bridgett McGowen-Hawkins from PV. That's right, PV. And so we've been sharing a little bit about really life on the hill. That's what they call PV, okay? Every campus has that name. And for PV, it's the hill. And when you drive up, you can see why. It's in the Prairie, gorgeous campus. You know, I had a chance to go to over 50 some schools. PV is in the top 5 campuses from aesthetic standpoint. So, pardon that. But, Bridgett, let's get right back into it. We're still on campus here. We're talking about two of your professors that just had this huge impact on you. You mentioned you pledged, and so what was that like on campus and as you evolve, and what did it do really to help you grow? Because one of the things I challenge students when I talk to students is get fully engaged, and you're going to get a whole lot more out of your experience.
I really should have held off on mentioning that because I pledged grad school.
You did? Okay.
Yes, I pledged grad school. Undergrad, I was so focused on getting involved with academic type stuff. And I worried that I would lose my focus if I got too involved with something that didn't have an academic focus. But I pledged during.
And which sorority did you pledge?
The best that there is, Alpha Kappa Alpha. What else?
See, you happen to have a sister that is
somewhere in the DC area doing
on Pennsylvania Avenue doing a little something.
A little something in a big white building,
Yeah. But no, definitely shout out to our vice president, Madam Harris, who's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha at Howard University. So shout outs to her and all the other ladies. My mom's AK, so most of the women in my family are AKs. So I have to, love me some AKs.
Smart women.
As we talk about that, that day of graduation, we talked about drop off and then there's graduation. How did you feel as you stepped out into grad school and into the work world of, am I ready? I know I'm ready. Let's do this thing.
Again, I was scared. But this is the thing. If you don't do something that is scary each day, then what in the world are you doing? So we're supposed to do something that shakes us up a little bit.
Let's dive a little deeper in that. Why is that important to do something scary each day?
Because there's no growth when you're in the comfort zone, Howard. I had a conversation with someone earlier today, and she shared that with me. Her name is Mo Jones. She's a total rock star. And she said that, and it sat with me. It resonated with me. There's no growth if you just continue to do the same thing all the time. You do that which is familiar. You do that comes easy to you. Well, how are you expanding? How are you getting better? How are you helping others if you just kind of stick in a rut or stay in a rut? So graduation day, I was scared because now I knew there was more required of me. It was a different kind of fear this time. Now I felt educated. I felt equipped academically. I felt like I could go on out there and take on the world. But then it was that same type of fear where I'm thinking about everybody else around me, where, oh no, now I'm going out into the world of work and I'm going to be competing with people who are even smarter than me, or who went to other universities, or who did this or did that, or majored in this. And so there was that fear. But then I remembered that I'm just as good as the next person. I am just as capable as the next person. I don't think I went on any job interview, Howard, that ever asked me what school I attended or what my GPA was, which my GPA was very good, but I'm just saying what my GPA was. It was, what can you bring? What energy can you bring? What light can you bring? What information can you bring? Ideas can you bring? What energy can you bring to this conversation? It was, what do you bring to the table? How can you help us grow? How can you help us expand? How can you help us live out our vision and our mission? That's what they want to know. So it was thinking back to how PV helped me live out my vision and my mission, and remembering that's what I needed to do, was to show up in the world to make sure that I did the most I could with each of my 24 hours by doing something uncomfortable, doing something a little scary ever so often.
I'm going to embrace that one. So tell, you said Dr. Joe or Miss Joe.
Yes, Mo Jones. Yes, I loved it. I even wrote it down when she said it. I have it on one of my little Post-it notes somewhere around here, where the second she said it, I was like, oh, I have to commit that to paper. Yeah,
I always talk about growth happens outside the comfort zone. And so, in my teachings, I'm going to incorporate that. Hey, what are you going to do? What's that one scary thing that you're going to do today? That one phone call you're going to make, that one new product you're going to try, that twist on that, on that editing, whatever it is you do something outside the edge, outside the lines. And that's normal. But those experiences, as you left Prairie View, share a little bit about one of the professional experiences that reinforce that you had this great experience that educated, equipped, and empowered you. Share one of those, that professional experience.
There's so many of them. Prairie View taught me to keep my cool even when everything around me is blazing hot. Meaning, when you get yourself in an uncomfortable situation where you really want to go there, don't do that. It cannot bode well for anyone. I remember one time being in the Denver, Colorado area, and I was working with my manager at the time, who came to observe me putting on a conference. And I remember she and I were in the main venue space.
If you would share what arena this was in, I mean, not physical arena, but the type of business, because there may be a student listening. And one of the key things at HBCU-Biz, we try to get people to understand that the diversity of work that we do, we're not a monolithic group. And so if you would just share a little bit about, you don't have to mention the company, but just share the type of industry and work it was.
Sure. It was an educational technology company. And so what I would tell people is I teach professors how to teach. I travel the country. My territory was 13 states out in the West, but it got to a point where I was traveling all over the country. And I did workshops and conferences and webinar series along with other colleagues who were on my team for professors on essentially how to be the most engaging, dynamic, incredible educator on the planet. And so I was putting on this conference and my manager had flown in from Texas to observe. She's a white lady, and we are in the venue. And the contact for the venue walks into the main room where she and I are. We're both professionally dressed, but he opts to go to her and start up a conversation as if she is the person, quote unquote, running the show. And we both politely stood there and listened to him. And then she stopped, turned, and pointed in my direction and said, "Today, I work for her. That is the person to whom you need to speak." I was very thankful that she did that. However, I can't help but to think, if she had not done that, what would I have done? Yeah. And I know from being at Prairie View and understanding being cool, calm, and collected is always going to be your best bet. Now, could I have gotten ignorant? Okay. Could I have gone there? Right.
Hold up. You need to be talking to me.
Right. But then I would have been this another mad Black woman. Right. But just understanding that you're not just representing yourself when you're out and about. Yeah. When you are in your profession, you're representing yourself, your family, your education, your race, your alma mater. You're representing everything that makes up you. And you never know if that person's encounter with you is that person's first encounter with a Black person, first encounter with a Black professional, first encounter with an HBCU grad, first encounter. And this may be their only encounter. So you have to embody the kind of person. You have to exude the kind of personality. You have to put forth what you want this person to believe, to know, to think about this first encounter, because people will paint with broad brushes. And so I could have gone left, and then what would that
one thing I like to add to what you just said, I think people need to listen. People paint with broad brushes because they are raised with broad biases. Mm-hmm. And see, mm-hmm. They know not better. And what you said, that gentleman, he never walked away. He didn't walk away the same.
Right.
The next time he walked up to two people, he was like, I need to at least address both equals until I find out who I need to be talking to.
Right. You would hope that was the lesson learned.
Yeah.
Right? You would hope. But it's just remembering you represent so much more than just yourself and so much more than just that moment. And you never know what kind of lasting impact you'll have on a person. So always endeavor to make it one that you know is going to make you, yourself, your family, your HBCU proud.
So I always tell students this, and I love what you said is have a lasting impact, not a dynamic impression. And, because that impression is easily gone, but the impact is there for who knows how long.
Right.
So when we're talking about making impacts, how did you transition from working for others to saying, okay, it's time for me to literally hang up my shingles, as you look behind her, if you're watching, to open my own company and to help others tell their story?
That's easy. I got laid off, Howard. That's
necessity.
That's a gimme. So I'll tell you, it was, let's see, April 5th, 2016. I received an email message early in the morning, like 5 a.m. my time. And that would have made it 8 a.m. East Coast time from someone out on the East Coast. And it was a company VP. And I'm like, yes, she's finally getting around to talking to me about my work on that podcast series that I did. I've been waiting to hear from her on that. You're right. And she had scheduled a 9 o'clock call with me, 9 o'clock my time. And it was a thank you, but no thank you. You've been fabulous. Your last day is April 15th. April 12th. So yeah. So I'm mulling over this. I'm trying to figure this out. Okay. And I loved speaking, had been doing it for so long. Yeah. And I, had audience members that enjoyed hearing my message, no matter what the message was. I said, you know what? There are people who do this for a living. I can do this for a living. I can do this. You know what? I'm scared. Once again, I'm scared.
And that's when great things happen. When you take that leap, all these steps you've taken, and now all of a sudden, either somebody push you, because in this case, you got pushed. The pink slip, the layoff slip got, push you really.
So it's about doing. I want you to think about, for listeners, think about something that you could do in your sleep. Think about something that you could do just effortlessly, something that you would do if money was no object. And think about how can that translate into revenue? How can that translate into serving someone else? How can that translate into, it could be a side hustle to the point where you transition into it being a full-time passion. But think about something that you just absolutely love to do. It comes easy for you. People praise you for it. That's your job. I mean, that's your business. That's your side hustle. That's your side gig. Do it. Don't wait another second.
You guys heard it. You heard it. Make sure you just do it. And that's the thing I love about it. Talking to other entrepreneurs, you guys excite me and inspire me because it reminds me of these big projects that I have that, I had someone recently on HBCUBiz. It was like, man, how are you going to get it? And this is someone relatively close to me. How are you going to get all this done? I don't fully know. I don't know, but I'm meeting great people. I'm getting inspiration. I'm getting information, and I'm getting some assistance from people. So it's going to happen because it's part of my legacy. But as you talk about that, let's talk about a rejection moment that you share. You were trying to get on the stage.
I was like, wait a minute. How does he, what? I know exactly what I'm going to. So let me tell y'all about this one. I submitted a proposal to speak at this big conference taking place in Washington, D.C. in May of 2019. I just know that my proposal is going to be accepted. I mean, I'm on my high horse.
It's tight. It's ready. It is the bomb.
Right? So I get my rejection letter. It was either November 1st or November 2nd. And I'm sitting there thinking, really? It was not really a rejection letter, but they said, listen, we like your proposal. Very nice. However, we got some that are much better than yours. We'll put yours on the back burner. Don't call us. We'll call you if we have space for you. Well, come March, they did reach out to me and they said, hey, we've got room for you. And not only did they have room and wanted me to present at this conference in May of 2019, where where Oprah was also presenting. But the form indicated or had a little field asking if I had a book to sell at their bookstore, the bookstore where Oprah's books are also going to be sold. Howard, I had no book, but I had a blog. I'd been blogging for 4 years on the topic on which I was going to be speaking. So I said, I have tens of thousands of words on that blog. I had also put together a course that had plenty of content in it. I started pulling the best of the best from both of those areas of my content, put together my book. It not only sold at that bookstore, it sold out. And not only did it sell out, but this just came in the mail last week. It won an award. It won the Best Indie Book Award in the nonfiction business communication category. And it was this book, which thank you. I'm so proud. Real talk, what other experts won't tell you about how to make presentations that sizzle. So this came out of a rejection letter, straight up, not even kidding. I just said, oh, well, I guess I'm not going to DC. Not only did I go to DC, I ended up writing a book that ended up selling out and that I have since won an award for, and that led to me opening up my publishing company just months after getting back from DC, because I said, how many other speakers, experts, coaches, professionals, consultants are out there who are total rock stars, who know a lot about their industries and don't have a book to show it?
Right. A book or a course. It was funny, but before we go to that part of it, let me bring this back to Miss Diana Phalus. Be ready so you don't have to get ready. Child, cut that plan out because time is money. And so having all this information, having done this, and believing in yourself to a point of, hey, let me go ahead and just make this book happen. So yes, I do have a book. It's coming out 2 weeks from now. It will be, let me know when you need it on your shelf. Having that confidence to take the leap before you see everything, or I like to always say it and go back to Dr. King, is taking the first step without seeing the whole staircase. And that's what you did when you told them, yes, I have a book. I don't know how you worded it, but you had to do that. But then you had to go do the work to make sure the book was there. Otherwise, you were lying.
Right. I think I may have learned this at Prairie View now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. So I remember, now that we're sitting here talking, the career readiness office, or where you can go and you can do mock interviews and so on. I learned this somewhere, and I'm just going to attribute it to Prairie View, where I learned that in a job interview, if they ask you if you know how to do something, or once you get a job, maybe that was it. Once you get a job, if they ask you if you know how to do something, don't divulge that you don't know how to do it. Just say, yes. And then you immediately go figure out how to do it. Okay. Just go figure it. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I can make that happen. Yes, I can make that work. And then, there's in the back of your mind, oh my goodness.
Well, but you're not lying. You're not lying, because they didn't ask, have you done this before? They asked, could you do it?
Right.
There are a lot that I can do. I just never had the opportunity. Okay. So, but can I do it? Yes.
Yes. That was kind of the premise behind it, where it's like, you're being honest here. Is it possible for you to figure out how to do it? Yes. But then that was your answer, where you never said, no, I don't know how to do something. Right. It was always go figure it out. And you are taking me back. You are really taking me back.
But you think about it, and that's one of the reasons why I love this journey that I'm on with HBCUs, and really to help our youth realize that you're getting these lessons and these principles taught to you by your aunt and uncles. And so when you get out there, it's already in you. Have the confidence. The worst they can say is no, or maybe. And then if they say maybe, stay ready, because they may call you and say, hey, we got space for you.
And do you have a book?
And do you have a book? In this case, call Bridgett And that can happen real quick if you're willing to put the work in. And so, Bridgett, as you think about that, how did you go from I'm in DC, sold out of my own book to, wow, I look at all these other speakers in here. They may have had 200 speakers, but they only had 100 books, authors. How can I serve these people? Because truly, I believe every great business is built around service. How did you go through that and come back and start that process?
Right. You're talking about starting the process with the publishing company?
Right, with the publishing company, and actually helping and recruiting other speakers and authors to come in and entrust you to share their story.
Right. I just had to step out there and give it a try. It was scary. And remember, that's what we've been talking about, is doing something scary. So my first book project I launched it October 14th of 2019. And I just went out asking all of these different professional speakers. I may or may not have met them in person or not, but these professional speakers in my network, hey, I'm putting together this book. Do you want to be a part of it? This is what it's about. This is how it came about. This is where the idea came from. This is what I'm thinking. Do you want to be a part of it? I mean, seriously, and did I get no's? Yes. But I said, I'm just going to give this a whirl. And either they'll say yes or they'll say no. And the no's, that's fine. I'll still sell you a book.
You'll regret that you said no, because you easily could have been telling your story.
Right. And so I just told people what I was thinking about doing, what I planned on doing, and would they be a part of it? And so many people said, yes, absolutely. No question about it. And in 4 months, it was done. All of the interviews were done. All of the editing was done. The design was done. Everything. It published in February of 2020. And I started, like I said, October 14th of 2019. And I did other anthologies and collaborations of that nature with others who just trusted me. But this, everybody listening, this is really important. There were a lot of people who had never met me, didn't know me from a can of paint, but they knew me from social media. Yeah. And I would even have people say, Bridgett, I just kind of watch the things that you put on social media. I see what you do. I see what you post, and so on and so forth. And I like what I see. Right. And I don't mind being associated with you.
And that's probably why you got the opportunity in DC, because you were blogging. And when you started thinking about it, because you had already poured the material into yourself. And so now it's time to put it out to someone else, so you can put more in. And so when you think about that, so you're helping people. And if I wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to do that? I know you're all over social media, but what's the best way to connect you and say, hey, I have a project I'm interested in. Let's have a conversation.
Perfect. Go to connectwithb.com. Connectwithb.com. All common spelling, CONNECTWITHB, as in Bridgett.com. There you can book a call with me. You can sign up for my email list. You can buy copies of books. You can listen to my podcast. You can connect with B is what you can do.
Connect with B. Hey, so as always closing, I always have one or two questions I like to ask, and kind of take you back a little bit. So here it is, May, whatever date, you have this graduating senior from DPV getting ready to step out. What advice would you give them?
Tell them, be scared, but don't be afraid. Be scared because you're about to see things and hear things and meet people that you've never seen before, that you've never things that you've never heard before, you've never read before. Yes, that's scary. But don't be afraid in that you don't think you can do it. You don't think you can measure up, because you can. So know that you're going to face some challenges. Yes, absolutely. And yes, there will be some fear there, some anxiety. But don't be afraid that you cannot make it. Don't be afraid that someone is going to tell you no. Yeah, it's okay. But keep pushing forward. You've got this. You listen, if you can make it through Prairie View A&M and get that degree and get through any of the struggles and the challenges, you can make it anywhere. PV produces productive people. Don't let us down.
Somewhere.
I've heard this somewhere.
That somewhere.
Got a ring to it. I know it. Don't let us down. Okay? Prairie View produces productive people. You are one of them. Go out there and show up and show out so that everybody knows that PV, has it going on. PV, you know.
PV, you know. Hey, with that said, Bridgett, thanks a lot for being our guest today. And as she shared with that graduating senior, hey, that's good for you too. Be scared, but don't be afraid. And make sure you go out and connect with Bridgett at connectwithb.com. That's right, connectwithb.com. You can find everything Bridgett McGowen-Hawkins right there. Hey, you can find that. Hey, with that said, definitely want to catch you in the next episode. Leave comments and don't forget to share, because remember, sharing is caring. That's right. The more you share that's the more it shows that you truly, truly care. So share this episode, help somebody else do something scary every day by learning from Bridgett. Bridgett, thanks again for being a guest, and we look forward to collaborating and doing more great things together. Hey, this is Howard. Thanks again for listening to us on HBCU-Biz on fire. Sizzling, baby. That was a sizzling episode. We checked all 3 boxes. Like I said, entrepreneur, pathfinder, and an innovator. She's keep doing it. And Bridgett, thanks again. We shall see you on the other side in the next episode.